All right. Cowboys, we got a slight dilemma. Circulations of news is basically that Trevon Diggs really don't want to play for the Cowboys. Now, this is only speculation. I think that when you look back at what happened earlier this year, we can all speculate that, the Cowboys front office kind of rubbed him the wrong way with charging him $500,000 in fine for not working out with the Cowboys and back at the facility and these sorts of things. And he had chosen to select to go about it his own way. And we know Trevon Diggs been battling with recovery. But right now, when you look at everything with Trevon Diggs, he's allowing right at 154 passer rating allowed when targeting his way. That's damn near perfect. 158 is perfect, and he's having his worst season. I think that what we can look back at this team and say, yeah, Trevon Diggs overall been crazily abused out there on the field, and it's frustrating because even if you look at this, and I'm shout out to Ed Water for reporting this, and we're gonna bring this up, and we're gonna have a real conversation about all of this. Cowboy Nation, I appreciate each and every last one of you all. Shout out to my guys, Cowboys can fan. It's Canadian for those who don't know. Cowboys cornerback Trevon Diggs and DaRon Bland both signed a $90 million contract extension and have led the league, the National Football League, in INTs throughout their career. And we know that, right? This season, they have no interceptions and no pass deflected or no passes defense, and that means batting the ball down. And I think Trevon Diggs had one, but it was nullified due to a holding call or something like that. But that's a whole nother conversation. They have not touched the field in 6 games. Diggs interception versus Green Bay was, of course, that's the one that we were talking about that was taken away due to a penalty. So what I'm trying to say is that both of these guys, Trevon Diggs and Bland, it's not strange that these guys are no longer able to play. It could be that when we look back at all of this, it's systems. The system that they are in doesn't allow these boys to play like they normally do play, and it becomes a problem now, Cowboy Nation. So when we look back at all of this, how do we fix these small little issues, Cowboy Nation? I would say this, though, altogether. I think that with Trevon Diggs and DaRon Bland, if they have the kind of caliber of coaching, like in the Al Harris, not saying that it got to be him. I don't know what's going on with this zone-based defense that these guys are paid $90 million apiece to be man-to-man corners. But at this point, the concussion that Trevon Diggs got or what have you that happened off the field could be very much damaging. And to bring that home to all of you guys, I get it, by him not being able to play this weekend and him not being able to play up to the kind of caliber of level that we are accustomed to seeing is very damaging, right? Very damaging. But before we go any further, this segment is brought to you by Sleeper, your #1 fantasy app. And let's get right to it, Cowboy Nation.
Sleeper is the #1 fantasy sports app. It pays to know sports. Pick more or less on top players. Your first pick is on us, so start winning now. Play in Texas, Georgia, Minnesota, and 27 more states. Pick anytime across all sports, pregame or live. Over 10 million players are already on Sleeper. Make your picks count. Score up to 1,000 times your cash. Join today. Get up to $100 credit using code LAW. Call your shot on Sleeper. Download now.
Download now and get $100 deposit match up to $100. So when you deposit $100, they'll match you. So there's $200 that you can have in your account. On top of that, when you use promo code LAW, hey, $20 from me to you is the new promo there. So you get $20 at least from Law Nation. So there's $220 that you can have so that you can be making them big old coins, because I know y'all making them big coins over there when you use Sleeper. With that being said, Cowboy Nation, I think that this information from 105.3 The Fan. They like to do a little fillers because they get some information. They are the flagship station of the Cowboys. And there could be a little truth to this. And I'm not saying that this guy's right, but they are the flagship station. So they get information that Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones pretty much spoon feed these boys. And they like to do this, by the way. And there's nothing wrong with getting some of this information. But I'm going to tell y'all, just listen very, very properly. Let's get it, Cowboy Nation. Let's get it. Here we go.
It does not seem like the information is flowing, which is just further confirmation that this is over. So I really think the interesting topic here is the medical guarantees on contracts.
Yeah.
Right now, Diggs, as soon as he clears concussion protocol, is healthy. Do you trust him? Do you want to have the risk of 2026, you feeling anchored to him because there's an injury to come on the actual field here in the final 10 weeks of the season, and now you're sort of tied into it? I think there's a case to be made for what can we get for him in trade? We'll take anything.
Yeah.
Ooh, wait, he said that we would take anything. He said we would take anything. And when we look at just about anything, it's not like his resume for 2025 is a beautiful one. It's an ugly duckling, baby. When I say this, like passer rating allowed 154.9, yards per reception is right at 19.6. He only got one pressure, right? 11 total receptions allowed, 7 stops, 2 assists, 16 tackles. So you're not getting anything far as tackling from him, and you're not getting anything far as the ability, baby, to cover. And I'm team Trevon Diggs. Like I said, that's my dog, that's my dog. And I want him to roll tide with us. I want him to stay with us. But at this point, the Cowboys are not utilizing him to the best capabilities. They're not. And it's frustrating because I know what kind of caliber of player he is. Let's listen to the rest of this.
Team stupid enough to give you a 6?
A 7, I would take.
Yeah.
To me,
from the outside looking in,
I get the feeling of this is a player that doesn't want to be here, and could be totally wrong. And I'm sure that if I were to ask Diggs, he would say the opposite of that and say I do want to be here.
You say these
but
nuts.
Based on his play, based on kind of just watching him and his motions pregame when we're at the stadium, I don't know. He just does not seem super motivated, and he just doesn't look like the same guy right now.
It does not seem like.
All right, so to be fair to all of this, there are some confusions with Matt Eberflus and within the confines of this system. I don't know if any of these guys are buying what Matt Eberflus is selling. I don't know if any of these guys are willing to play and fight through the echoes of the whistle for Matt Eberflus. We can clearly see all of these things, especially as relates to his temperaments, his style, and the way that he controls like the narrative that, hey, if the players execute. Now, we can talk about execution all day. But if you don't play the players to their skill set and their ability, then of course they won't be able to execute. I can dial up the best play possible for Shaquille O'Neal to be on the outside of the perimeter. And I can dial up that play and tell Shaq, hey, if he can execute on shooting the three, we can win games. No, that's not his skill set. That's not what he do. He's not an outside player. He's inside, down low in the post. Juxtapose, I can say the same thing for Steph Curry. If I draw up plays for Steph Curry to be down low in the post all day, every day, even twice on Sunday, and I'm sitting here saying as a coach, if only he execute. No, that's not his skill set. So now this week, the Cowboys been practicing more on man-to-man, which is cool, right? This is what these players do. These are man corners, right? Now, all of a sudden, Trevon Diggs get a concussion and won't be able to play when it is time for him to perform at his best at man-to-man? It's crazy. Cowboy Nation is a combination of a lot of things. I know for sure that Trevon Diggs and DaRon Bland are still great players, elite players, by the way, when they are put in positions to win. But if the coaching staff and the coaches don't know how to identify that, and everybody's looking at these guys because they never really coached these guys. I think this is a new defensive back coach, right? This is a new system and scheme and philosophy. No carryover from one year to the next. And granted, a lot of people look at what happened with Mike Zim defense last season. But technically, with the same staff on defense, when we played against Carolina last year, of course, we didn't go up against Rico, of course. We were able to dominate the Carolinas. And it's pretty much the same team. Because that coach knew how to utilize some of his pieces. And on top of that, to contextualize, we were snake bitten with a lot of injuries last season. But that's a whole nother conversation, Cowboy Nation. What I'm going to say now is that the Cowboys, you know what you got. We got two cornerbacks that we paid $90 million, and they are both getting carved up. That's not by coincidence. One can argue that both of these guys been banged up a little bit, of course. But the drop-off is such a crazy one. And the only thing that I can say is I think that it's the system overall. And from what we're picking up is that, yes, it is primarily Matt Eberflus's system. And this is the old school cover two, vision-based defense. It's not like it's new to us. We've seen this before with Monty Kiffin. We've seen this before with Rob Marinelli. We've seen this defense before because that's the birth of what Matt Eberflus came from. And, of course, he was originally on the staff with Rob Ryan, right? So all of this history being repeated back to itself. We are doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Now, when cover two defenses were working, you got to have star-studded players. Who's old enough to remember Simeon Rice? Who's old enough to remember Warren Sapp? That's where Rob Marinelli and Tony Dungy, that's when they cut their teeth, when they had weapons. They had a Rondé Barber. They had Derek Brooks. And then if you transfer all of that information, yes, it was very successful in Chicago years. When you have a Brian Urlacher and Briggs, Peanut Tillman, and all of those boys. Well, we don't have that here. So for the expectation to meet the reality is that if you're going to run this system, you got to have dogs, with teeth. You can't have a bunch of guys that's trying to figure things out. It don't work that way, Cowboy Nation. But it's neither here nor there. If the Cowboys are deciding to move on from Trevon Diggs, I want more than a 7th-round draft pick, though, by the way. Because I truly believe whoever going to pick him up, we're going to be looking back at this next year and be like, damn, look at Diggs performing and doing his thing again. And all we got is a 7th-round draft pick who'll probably be out of the league in the next few years. But that's all the time that I have for this moment, Cowboy Nation. Post me your thoughts, post me your concerns down below. Be sure to hit that like button, share this content. And if you agree with me, hey, put a 1 in the chat somewhere. If you disagree with me, put a 2 or 3 and put your explanation why. Cowboy Nation, that's it. DC for life, not for short. Let's get it. Peace. I'm about. Let's go.